Hi, I'm Andy with Eco-Chan. Here we are with batch number 46 of the Eco-Cha Tea Club. And this month's batch is a Tieguanyin light roast Oolong Tea. Tieguanyin meaning the name of the strain of tea, or the cultivar, which has been planted in Lugu in the village of Yonglong. Sort of an anomaly. As far as we know of one other small plot in the same village, and the father of this family originally planted a plot of this strain due to the request of one of his wholesale clients, a merchant here in Taiwan, and grew that tea exclusively for this merchant. The son recently decided to continue with his father's pioneering effort, and he took clippings of the original plot of tea that his father planted, and he propagated them and planted a new plot of tea. He first overturned the soil on a plot of his family's farm to renew the nutrient base, and then planted it about 4 or 5 years ago. And we first tasted it in that first harvest, I believe it was. I just happened to be in a factory one night where his cousin was making tea, and I tasted the half-processed leaves. And we both remember that, the farmer and I remember that I said, I'm quite interested in this. And then time just flew by, and finally we reconnected in the past year. And long story short, here we are with a batch of Tieguanyin, heirloom strain Tieguanyin, planted in Yonglong Village, Lugu, Taiwan. Processed mostly, or at least processed most similarly as a traditional Dongding Oolong, as Lugu is the home of Dongding Oolong, and that's what they know how to do there. The son, or I'll just call him Mr. Su from now on, since he is a 40-year-old man, he went up to the original traditional Tieguanyin tea-making area in Mujia, Taipei, and apprenticed, or at least observed and researched with the local tea artisans there to see how they make their Tieguanyin. And he's sort of met them halfway between his traditional Dongding Oolong skills, or traditional Dongding tea making methods, and the traditional Tieguanyin tea making methods. Basically, the one thing that he has not adopted that they do in Mujia to make Tieguanyin is they wrap the before they roll the tea, or during the process of rolling, they wrap it tightly in cloth balls and put it in the oven to kind of steam. And that gives the Mujia Tieguanyin its characteristic tangy or slightly sour flavor. Mr. Su has decided to just go with a heavily oxidized traditional oolong tea. And he, as per my personal request, roasted this tea for us just lightly. So the bottom line is that we're just psyched to find someone planting this rare cultivar of tea. It's rare in Taipei these days, and basically unknown down here in central Taiwan. So it's just an aspect of propagating traditional tea culture and encouraging the farmers and artisans to continue doing what they're inspired to do. So it's true, even though we're a small encouraging factor and a small impact, it's noticeable. The farmers are they're very appreciative of our appreciation for their artisanship, and that's kind of just the simple balance between creating a small foreign consumer demand direct from these artisans that are dropping their trade to follow consumer trends, or at least that has been the case in the last few decades, and things are seeing a revival in the last decade or so. So here we have it. Heavily oxidized, I'd say, for an oolong. Let's say close to 50%. That's about as high as it gets in central Taiwan. So compared to Dongding and the lighter oxidized forms of oolong, this in our world would be considered a heavy oxidation. And just a light roast, a single roast after the original or initial drying roast. It offers, well, first of all, there is a particular character to the cultivar, and that's the motivation for people to plant it in an area that it hadn't been propagated before. The cultivar is a hardy bush, relatively low yield. The leaves are thicker, so they have more substance, and they're a little bit more stubborn in their processing. You have to coax them more, particularly in an oolong processing method. But they offer more composition in the end in terms of what you get in the brew. What I'm tasting now is a hearty fruit wood and dried fruit character. I'm too excited to drink it. I'm not putting my cap on my pot here. It's got that tang, and there is a tang in it that's part of the heavier oxidation and just a lighter roast to bring that fruitiness out. And the original bitter and slightly astringent, but really it's just the inherent bitter quality in tea that balances out the sweetness that comes from the finesse in processing. It's a really wide range in the flavor profile. It's hard to put your finger on. It's stimulating. It's refreshing. That kind of zing that comes from the mild or subtle bitter base, and then all this complexity on top of it of wood, nutty, and fruity characters. This tea is quite powerful, so you can brew it. I kind of went for it just because that's how I roll. I just put 8 grams of tea in a 130 milliliter pot. I probably could have gone with 6 or 7. It's not packed. It's just that these leaves pack a punch. So start out light and then increase with caution, or at least with care, to hit that sweet spot in terms of the concentration. You could put that much tea leaves in and then start just brewing it more carefully. I'm here blabbing away, so I'm not paying attention to time, as usual. It's just a traditional oolong, and it has that just so much more substance and complexity than green tea or black tea, and that's why we're so into the local culture here, the artisan oolong tea culture in Taiwan. It just makes us smile each time. We think you're really going to like it. There's a lot to learn from this tea in terms of the flavor, range of flavor. Brew it light, push it when you're ready to push it, cold brew it, put it in a mug, go grandpa style. It'll meet you there and satisfy, I'm sure, in every aspect. It's a find, and we're really proud to be presenting it this month. Traditional oolong tea making embodied in this batch of tea. So there you have it, a Tieguanyin light roast oolong tea from Yonglong Village in Lugu, Taiwan, October 2019. Thanks for being with the Eco Cha Tea Club, and we'll see you next time.